Well, the time is just gone 27 minutes past five. Is We head towards the time of iftar in Johannesburg in just around an hour from now. And shortly at around a quarter to six, we will be handing over to Maulana Yunus Kawanga, who will take you through to the time of iftar. But we still continue with the iftar drive, and we are going to focus on Palestine as we will continue doing in the month of Ramadan, even during the iftar time. And we know at this point in time, the situation is still extremely dire in Israel, in Palestine and in Gaza, with the Israeli armies just striking 8 distribution centers. Yesterday, we learned of a number of people that were killed. Today, we've learned again of another 8 distribution center where a number of people were killed, and then Israeli army brutality, killing a disabled man. They were in Gaza as well. The U.S. Humanitarian aid plan is a sham ahead of the month of Ramadan. All of that put into context, we're going across now to be joined by Zakir Ahmed Mayed. Zakir, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and shukran for having me on the show this afternoon.
Yes, Jazakallah Zakir, and I hope you trust and hope you're having a wonderful Ramadan, inshallah. But what can we say about our brothers and sisters out in Palestine, in Gaza? We were hoping for a humanitarian ceasefire during the month of Ramadan. In fact, it's getting worse, Zakir. This policy of starvation, this policy of now attacking even people as they are seeking aid. We've heard of the flower massacre yesterday, people that were trying to get aid killed again. The other day we've seen it, and it's just happening repeatedly over and over again as this month of Ramadan is set in.
Most definitely. The attacks on the Palestinians will not stop, particularly during this month of Ramadan. Israel has violated every sanctity. They've bombed schools, masajid, they've bombed places of safety that they had informed the citizens of Gaza to move towards. And they continue to commit massacre after massacre. However, at the moment, they are using attrition in Rafah. They are trying to limit the number of casualties in the larger scheme of things. IDF estimates are that approximately 1.5 million Palestinians, Gazans, are in Rafah at the moment. So if Israel decides to engage in the large-scale bombing that we saw in Khan Yunis or Gaza City or Beit Hanun or even the border areas, the Al Bruj camps, for example, then you would see massive casualties. I think we will see numbers that will go far beyond 200,000. In the interim, Israel is trying to buy time. The facade of the negotiations is continuing. And it's very clear that they are terrified of the month of Ramadan. We've already seen a massive increase in the tempo of the resistance. And Alhamdulillah, the resistance has set some new red lines in terms of the conduct towards Masjid al-Aqsa. So the only card that Israel has is to pressure the civilians, and that's what we constantly see, bombing them whilst they head towards dropping aid outside of Gaza, dropping it in the ocean, and then bombing it. This is pure cruelty. It's nothing short of genocide.
Well, certainly, but also I think at the same time, Zakir, when we are talking about just, airdrops of aid that are being made, and, this alone is just so dehumanizing for the people of Palestine. Imagine in the month of Ramadan, in fact, and I think it's actually doing more harm than good because, you've got limited amounts of aid that is being dropped. Then there are stampedes. Then there's a risk of injury. Then there's this aid falling into the ocean. There's a risk of drowning. There is just absolutely no guarantee where all this aid is going to end up. And this is where we say, it's actually dehumanizing. It's like putting people in a cage and throwing meat at them. It says, right, you fight over this piece of meat, or wild animals fighting over this meat. This is exactly what it's tantamount to, Zakir.
Well, definitely. I think that's a very apt example. Because if we take that example, we contextualize it with the words of Yoav Gallant at the beginning, where he said that the Palestinians are human animals, and the South African legal team when they presented their case before the ICJ, did a very similar thing to present this as a war against the people, which it really is. And when you look at these 8 drops, the one is to dehumanize. The second is a very strategic move on the part of the Israelis. Major General Uzi Dayan gave an interview recently, and he said that one of the key aims of Israel today is to destroy the United Nations Relief Works Agency, UNRWA. And UNRWA has been in charge of distribution of aid. That is why today one of the members of the UNRWA team was killed in a strike in Rafah. So one of the aims and objectives of the Israeli military machine is to destroy the aid capability of the United Nations Relief Works Agency. And there's another reason for that, because the records have been destroyed in Gaza of the refugees, of their families, etc. The next repository is that of UNRWA. And one of the key aims of Israel right now is not just to genocide the present population, but to prevent the right of return of refugees. And they have made this very open and clear. So when they drop aid in this manner, they're bypassing the United Nations Relief Works Agency. They are forcing Palestinians to fight for their own survival. And this naturally leaves the weak, the indigent, the disabled, the most vulnerable in society at the back of the line, and this will exacerbate the genocide that's taking place. It's truly brutal, it's cruel, and it comes as no surprise that the resistance is answering in the manner that they are.
The resistance is still there, and this is the reason why Netanyahu is still so held on doing what he has, because he knows, as far as the resistance is concerned, he's done very little damage. And this is the reason why all these innocent civilians, and to the extent that, it's actually quite sickening when you even hear somebody like Itamar Ben-Gvir saluting an Israeli soldier or an officer who actually shot and killed a Palestinian child. Just, what is the makeup of these people? And, it's, sometimes you actually at a loss for words, Zakir.
The makeup of the Israeli mind right now is quite a disturbing one. Although there was protest with regards to judicial reforms, we must bear in mind that this particular group of people that are in power at the moment were voted in by the Israeli public. There is no dispute with regards to how to deal with the Palestinians. They have a dispute with regards to the internal mechanisms and how they continue the facade of Israel as a Jewish and a democratic state. That's the issue. With regards to the Palestinians, that is why you have the surveys showing that most of the Israeli population believe that what they are doing is correct. And some, in a large portion actually, believe that not enough force has been utilized. The statistics have been released, and they say between 2 to 4 nuclear bombs, those that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that's the equivalent of what was dropped on Gaza. Now, there's a very interesting military paper released by the Air Force College in one of them in the United States. It's an old nuclear paper on Israel's nuclear deterrence policy and their nuclear weapons, authored in 2009. And one of the fears of the American administration at the time was that nuclear bombs of Israel would fall into the hands of extremists. Now, this is exactly what has happened. In fact, there's a bit of a breach between the camp of Itamar Ben-Gvir, Bezalel Smotrich, and Netanyahu, and the old military establishment, Moshe Bogi Ya'alon, Tamir Pardo, the former head of the Mossad, and even people like Ehud Barak, where they've said that these are individuals that want to bring about the end of time. They are anarchists. In fact, Moshe Bogi Ya'alon goes so far as to say that this is Mein Kampf in reverse. And this is pretty serious coming from a high-level official like that.
Well, it certainly is, but at the end of the day, as I said, it's we are in the month of Ramadan, and while many of us are enjoying a relatively peaceful Ramadan, It's the Palestine, and earlier on I even spoke to somebody out of Sudan as well. With 230,000 children at risk of hunger during the month of Ramadan, where we've seen the United Nations obviously call for a ceasefire in Sudan, which they couldn't do as far as Palestine and Gaza is concerned. And again, one sees a duplicity in terms of and the hypocrisy, even of the likes of the United States of America, in terms of the veto power that they has used on 3 occasions now. But we still need to continue. At the end of the day, it's regardless, we need to continue making dua. We need to see whatever we could do from a pressure perspective as well. Continue talking about it, continue attending events, and just generally, just make sure that we keep Gaza, we keep Palestine uppermost in our mind and as a list of priorities during this entire month of Ramadan, Zakir.
Most definitely, I agree fully that the key to our solidarity and success is to ensure that Palestine is spoken about and remembered. This is no ordinary Ramadan. The resistance factions, Abu Ubaidah spoke about this, Abu Hamza of the Sarayat al-Quds movement, the Palestinian factions have all spoken about this, that this Ramadan is an important Ramadan, it's a game-changing Ramadan. The Israeli officials in the military literature have spoken about this. They fear this Ramadan because victory descends in Ramadan. They have the belief that there is a special power that descends to the Mu'minun during this particular month. They refer in their own military literature to the Battle of Badr, Fatah Makkah. They refer to the Battle of Ain Jalut. They refer to the Battle of Hattin. And it comes as no surprise that this is a month that will redefine the world as we know it. It is a battle for Masjid al-Aqsa. We owe a duty to Masjid al-Aqsa to give our du'as, to remember it, and to honor the martyrs that have fallen in the path of defense of Masjid al-Aqsa. It is a duty upon each and every believer and also each and every justice-loving person to ensure that those that are in Gaza that are being genocided are not forgotten and that the resistance remains strong and has our support. And inshallah, we will see victory in a very short space of time, I believe.
Well, inshallah, Ameen. Jazakallah khairan so much for that, Zakir, and continue, in fact, the good work that you're doing, the wonderful work that you are doing as well. And we trust and hope that you're going to have a wonderful, a spiritually uplifting Ramadan, and that gains the acceptance and the mercy and the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazakallah as always, Zakir, for your time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Shukran for the opportunity. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Zakir Ahmed Mayat with us this afternoon, right here on Assalam Media, as we head towards closure of the Iftar Drive, and as we get closer to handing over to Maulana Yunus Kawanga, who is going to take you from now right until the time of Iftar in Johannesburg. So with that, I'm going to be signing off, and next up, you'll be joined by Maulana Yunus Kawanga, who will take you through to the time of Iftar, inshallah. Remember us all in your du'as until we meet again. From myself and the team at the Iftar Drive program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.